Now let's go back to this conversation, today being day 2 of Thuli Madonsela's appearance at the inquiry to suspended Public Protector Busiswe Mkhwebane's fitness to hold office. Madonsela has been squabbling quite a lot with Mkhwebane's lawyer, Dali Mpofu, since day 1 of her testimony yesterday, and even today before they took the lunch break. Let's go to Mpumelelo Zikalala and continue our conversation with him. He is a legal expert. Mr. Zikalala, thank you once again for agreeing to stay on until after the break. Now, we've discussed the affidavits and why the long discussions around that. But what do you make about, the squabbles that have been going on between these two lawyers? It seems, there's something that Thuli Madonsela said yesterday. She said, you are conducting yourself as if we are here to investigate my conduct. Would you agree with that statement?
No, not entirely. I think both legal practitioners must be called into order, and I say that with utmost due respect, in terms of saying you must be able to conduct yourself in a manner which is not insulting or demeaning in any particular manner, and then you must refrain from any type of harassment. Now, you can have both active and passive harassment. If I'm going to answer a question in a simple yes or no, or provide long-winded answers that at the end of the day insinuate certain things about your intellectual whether you're clever or not, is certainly going to get somewhere with the person who's the recipient. So in this particular matter, all which is required, for example, from Advocate Thuli Madonsela is to say, yes, I know the question, no, I don't know the question, or I have no knowledge of such. Or if you are then asked some questions of clarity, then you're able to provide such. From Advocate Mpofu to simply ask the questions as they are and be able to deal with the matter. I think they're both well vested with the type and the purpose of cross-examination and where it is intended with. And it's up to them to make sure that they're able to conduct themselves in the utmost and maintain the decorum which is required. But yet again, we must also look at the presiding officer and also the committee members in terms of saying, as the presiding officer, you are meant to provide order in that particular house. And when two parties are engaging, you must then come in and be a voice of reason and say, what is important here is that we get the type of answers or any answer that we are going to provide. So if you are going to concentrate on bickering and concentrate on showing who is more clever than the other one, then you're not going to get anywhere. The same must be extended to committee members. As a committee member, you must always maintain a process or a level of saying that I'm not biased towards any of the parties. Now, if you are going to ask questions of clarity, signaling who you support and you don't support, that places doubt on the innocence or the unbiasedness of the committee members as they are. And at the end of the day, they need to take a decision on this matter. They don't want any procedural flaws which are going to follow, which are going to create federal grounds for reviews at the end of the proceedings. If they are going to keep coming in and making those insinuations and providing a clear view as to where they are and who they support or who they align their views with within the two parties that we're discussing today within the committee.
All right, but, bringing personal stuff, for instance, a comment that the former president once made in public about the former public protector, etc. And then the public protector also just calling him low, saying things like, even by your standards, this is your lowest. So I assume this is why you're saying that we should also question the presiding officer. But I want to talk about Dali Mpofu's job here. It's to clear Busiswe Mkhwebane's name, right? And to make sure that the suspension that was put against her by the president last year is declared unlawful by the commission. Do you think with this particular witness he's been able to do that?
I think what I was trying to show here, let's remember what the Constitution says. It says that you can be recalled or fired from being a public protector if you are found to be, in instance of misconduct, incapacity, or incompetence. So if those are the three things in which you want to highlight that they do not apply in this particular case, and by that I mean they don't apply to Advocate Mkhwebane. And the perfect way of doing this is to then say, as a former public protector, can you please go and explain the nature of your job? Please also explain that there are judgments which were against you. It doesn't mean that if a court has ruled against you, you are incompetent. It does not mean that you have assisted in investigations that you have not finished or incompetent. It simply means that by the passage of time, there are things that you have not been able to do. Hence the term of saying You can't then have a superhuman public protector. It's impossible to have it. There are going to be certain flaws that are going to be there, but the measurements of the impact of those flaws is going to be measured, and there's only when you can be able to check whether the person was incompetent or not, or whether the person is competent in terms of doing their job. So Advocate Mpofu, what he was trying to do here was trying to say, let's look at these both tenures. They're not really far apart from each other. There are both instances in which you guys have failed. Hence, the issue of clean audits also came up. There are also instances in where you've done good. So where you've done good, hey, kudos to you. Everything is going well. But where you've done bad, it mustn't be looked at as if you are incompetent. It mustn't be looked at as if there's any instances of misconduct that have taken place.